What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. And with that, I do want to take a moment to apologize to you guys and just speak to something real quick before we jump into this 5 biggest takeaways from the town hall. First off, I apologize because I know the content has not been coming every single day, and obviously I have not been live streaming to the schedule that I say in these intros. It's just been a little crazy, and I mean, there's a little bit of disengagement, not necessarily from Splinterlands in general, but just overall, trying to retake stock of certain things and reprioritize certain things. That being said, we're going to jump into this 5 biggest takeaways from the town hall. And for anybody who might be new to the channel or new to the series, whenever there's a town hall, I do try to cover not the entire thing. It's not a summary. It's just the 5 things that stuck out to me the most. And I have to say, it's a very tough time in Splinterlands right now. Asset prices are absolutely tanking. Things look dire. We've missed out on certain parts of the bull run so far, including the run-up that happened in Q1. Yet, I came out of this town hall, and I actually came out of the last town hall, feeling quite bullish. And I don't have any explanation for you guys. So I know a lot of the bears are going to call me out and be like, oh, you're just, this is just copium. And fine, maybe it is, right? Like at this point, there's like nothing to lose, right? I'm not selling any of my assets. I'm just going to keep on moving forward. But I have this, whatever you want to call it, I have this undying confidence in the team's ability to take the game to a very interesting place over the next 6 to 12 to 18 months. Now, again, execution is still the most important thing, but what I like about where Matt is at is that he's talking through where the team is at. He's being honest in terms of giving, both the expectations as well as projections and timelines. And while, there were certain things that I was disappointed in originally, there are other aspects, which we'll talk about in a little bit. There are other aspects, mainly land, that I am coming around to even more so now. And I know people are going to be all over the fence on this, and that's fine. I mean, I would love to hear all of your opinions, but I just wanted to preface with that. Please don't look at my kind of lack of engagement as like my lack of faith in the project. I mean, again, I've been very clear about where my expectations lie for Splinterlands in terms of its performance this bull run. So, I think that a lot of things might be muted, and there's a lot of, there's a lot riding on the execution. But ultimately, I don't know. I still come out of these town halls feeling incredibly bullish on the future of this game. There's something about the confident hand that Matt is steering the wheel with. And so, it's very different from the Aggie days. And I'm not trying to compare them for any other reason than just to say, like, I mean, Aggie was fun, right? Matt's taking things in a different direction. And, Matt has the benefit of being CEO during a time when I think we all believe we're in a bit of a bull run. So there's a lot more forgiveness there. Although I would say, that forgiveness is not clear in the Splinterlands asset prices. That being said, I just wanted to preface with that because I just felt like I needed to. Just wanted to get it off my chest. So for people who are thinking that I just don't care or that I'm not, I'm not interested. No, it's not the case. And for people who've been following, I haven't even been playing my 5 battles or whatever on what's that other game called? On Parallel either, right? So it's just more of a step back for things for me. So please don't look at it in that way. That being said, I ROI'd in less than a week with Parallel, so like everything's gravy at this point. But let's go ahead and dive in. That's one hell of an intro in terms of length. So we're just going to go through the 5 biggest things, and I have some bonus items that we'll touch on at the end. So there's a lot coming up in this next release, which is going to be the final one for April. The first one of which is my favorite rarity card draws. So, look, the team took a month, maybe just 2 seasons for them to come out with the rarity card draws. They did not give numbers on how much things are going to cost or, where all that will be at, but it is coming. And this has me feeling very excited about the future of the Glint shop because again, and I know they're probably under pressure to deliver things that people want right now, but if they can turn around and get new things out within a month's time frame after a major release, I mean, that's a pretty good deal in my opinion. That's pretty good execution in my opinion. And so as we go through the rest of the year, people are throwing out fantastic ideas in terms of what can be added. I hope the team will be able to latch onto that and then add those in again with relative ease. Hopefully, again, I'm not technical, but wherever they can add some cool, interesting value with the resources that they have, it would be awesome to see. And hopefully, it's not going to be something that's like super time committed. But that is coming next week, which is very exciting. So I will be partaking in that, especially to fill out my legendaries, epics and legendaries. Although I realize that I still have several summoners, which are rare in rarity, that are not maxed yet. So I am gonna have to figure out how to get the rest of those because I want them all maxed. Okay, number 2, starter cards. There's a couple items here that I think kind of go hand in hand, right? So starter cards are being removed from Wild, and there's also a minimum SPS stake requirement being put in. So from my understanding, if you didn't have any SPS staked, you would be able to just go and play and still get the 1x multiplier, which is not going to be much, but you could have a bunch of accounts farming at the bottom. Similarly, especially in Wild, where botting is allowed or automated play is allowed, I don't know how many accounts were using the starter cards. Granted, there are a lot of accounts that play at the higher levels. Now, maybe they weren't winning and earning rewards, or whenever they earned rewards, it was less. But I don't know what kind of win trading might have been happening. I don't know what kind of black hat play might have been happening. And at the end of the day, right, just getting rid of starter cards in Wild made the most sense. So I'm glad that they're finally doing that. And Wild is going to be the place where it literally is Wild. You better come in with all the cards that you need, which is actually kind of fun. I've been enjoying the meta in Wild because it's a little bit more open. And sometimes I go against older cards that are seemingly underpowered against the newer ones that I have. So I'm enjoying Wild. I'm glad that they're making these 2 changes. Again, it might not be major impact. We're not going to see SPS skyrocket to the moon from here, but it's when you do enough things on the margins, right? When you have enough baby steps, we're going to look at this year, right? Maybe even since Matt started, the last 7-8 months, we're going to look at this at all the little baby steps that were taken by the team. And we're going to see a hell of a journey that was partaken, or, like something that the sum, it's greater than the sum of its parts. So all these things won't make the major impact, but I do think that they will have a tremendous long-term implication for where, the game goes, and hopefully the token and tokenomics. Okay, number 3, glint changes. So these are coming very soon. Now, it doesn't look like the amount of glint that you'll receive on like a long-term basis is going to change. What they're doing is allowing you to receive glint earlier. So the way that they have it now is, let's say you earn X amount of glint during a battle. You would get 2x that glint added to your end of season rewards. So in total, you'd be getting 3x, right? What they're doing in this way, and I have not thought through the math on this, so if the math is off, I apologize. And I'm not going to think through the math now, but I'm just going to tell you what they're doing. They're going to increase the amount of glint you get at each battle so that you're getting more of it up front, and then they're reducing end of season from essentially being 3x down to 2x. So think of it this way, actually, and it's end of season would be 2x. Now they're reducing it to 1x, right? So think about it this way. For every battle that you win, you're going to bank the same amount of glint to get at the end of the season. As opposed to every battle that you win now, you get this glint and then you bank 2x that value. So you're going to increase what you get now by 50%, and then that 50% is obviously going to carry over on both sides. But the end of season won't be as impactful, we'll put it. Which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. Like, I mean, sure, we get to end of season, and unless you're playing for leaderboards, why would you even care, like, what day of the season it is? So at that point, you just want to be going in and collecting your rewards for whatever the case is. So I think it's a good change. And there's something that Matt said that I think is worth sharing with you guys. And I don't believe it was in regards to this, but it was in regards to something that I think this falls under in terms of relevance because it's the perspective that he carries, and that is people tend to come in and say, "Man, things were better on the old way, right? The old way that things were done versus now." And Matt challenges that assertion, right? That just because we liked things the old way doesn't necessarily mean that they were better for the game. And so he's trying to come at this with a very objective approach and perspective, which I respect. I think that's great because the last time he talked about this, and you know, this is probably months ago, and it had something to do with something completely different, which in my opinion was like, he was trying to not even take a shot at alpha holders, right? But just to say, like, you know, stuff that we've done in the past, we need to take a very objective look at things, and not just because this is how they were or because it's always worked this way. We just need to look at where the game is at now, take an honest approach, and then try to build something better. So I think that's what they're doing. They're not going to get it right on the first try, but I've been quite happy seeing how quickly they've made changes. They've gone and gotten the data, gotten some feedback, and now they're making some changes. So, you know, this is coming in a month, right? This is coming in at about a month time frame, and or just 2 seasons, however you want to look at it. And I think it's fantastic. So I'm very much excited for where things go on the ranked play side. That being said, I am going to jump down to this bonus part here because I just mentioned that. There's 300 bots being added to Modern Format. So I know I told you guys that I'd be botting my account. I am actually turning the bot off, and I am taking my cards off the rental market. I'm going to go test this out because I love playing. You know what's funny is even without all of my entire deck, I'm just playing with a couple summoners and all the soulbound cards and all the old reward cards that are super cheap, and I can't get any rental value for them anyway. I still play even handicap like that because it's just fun for me. Whoa, what's going on? All right, hold up. My keyboard is acting crazy trying to say why. Why would I go back to playing in Modern? That would be insane, right? Okay, let's jump back into number 4. We got some land updates. Land 1.6 or certain elements of Land 1.6, the Grain LP and titles are planned to come in May. They're going to try to do that first weekend, or that first release date in May, which would be 2 weeks from this upcoming Tuesday. Sorry, I don't have the dates in my head, but you know what? Let me go ahead and open up the calendar because that will be better. So we have a release date on April 30th. That's the one upcoming. So this will be May 14th. They're already saying may not be done by that time, but they will get it done in May. If it's not the 14th, it'll be the 28th, which will be the second and final release window for that month, which is exciting. But there's more that I want to talk about on Land, and I kind of alluded to this at the beginning. So I'm going to try not to go super long on this, but I think it's important because it's not me trying to pat myself on the back, although I kind of feel like I've been banging the drum about this. I will say though that I'm happy about it. So what am I talking about? Okay, 1.6, let's just stop talking about that, right? They're going to get some 1.6 elements out, and we know that they're going to try to work in all the other 1.6 elements. But Matt very clearly today talked about the fact that Land 2.0 is this big behemoth of a thing, and you know it is their intention to create, because people were asking, like, how can you provide more value to older cards, right? We need to retain the value to older cards. And so, you know, Matt once again talked about Land, saying that is the game plan. Land is going to be its own game, and they just don't have the capacity to be able to do that. Now, for people who may not be aware, Farpachad recently, we recently found out that Farpachad is no longer with the team. I don't know the circumstances. I'm not going to speculate on that. But, you know, Farpachad is no longer with the team. We know Cryptomancer and Investigator, shout out to them. You know, they're picking up some of the slack on top of what they already do. And, you know, to me, that kind of signaled, okay, well, you know, I'm happy to see Land fall into very capable hands, but those hands are already quite busy. And so my expectation was, you know, Land 2.0 is going to get pushed out very far. Matt said something in the town hall today saying that, you know, with the upcoming bull run, they're hoping what they're doing is focusing on the player experience, new player experience, whatever you want to call it, and hoping that by doing so and bringing in a ton of new players, they'll be able to get the funds that they need to hire the people to build land out the way that they want to do it. So to me, it's almost not an admission, because that makes it sound guilty, but just like that was a very clear projection of, yeah, land is not the priority. And we know that already, because 1.6 is coming 5 months late, right? And I know there's probably some issues behind the scenes with Farpetrad no longer being with the team, but land 1.6 is coming in late. We knew that was going to be the case. But now it's not just, hey, we're going to get to 2.0 when we get to 2.0. It's, hey, we got to get the game in a better place, bring in tons of players, make a lot of money, and then hire the people that can get us land. Now, why am I happy about that, right? Because I said that at the beginning. Well, one, I think it sets very clear expectations, right? I don't think that we should expect much from land for, outside of 1.6 for the rest of the year. I think it shows that the team is very much focused on getting the new player experience, or the player experience, to a point, right? The mobile experience, the in-game experience, glitch shop, rewards, ranked, all of that. They want to get it to a place where they can actually go out, market to folks, and bring in not just a few players, but a hell of a lot of players that would actually make the economy the game economy and probably asset values boom, right? So that is incredibly disappointing for landowners, and I understand that, for people playing the game of land. But at the same time, in my opinion, and I know I'm not a landowner, I'm not a major landowner, and I've never, land has never been the thing that it's not the hill that I'm gonna die on, literally, right? It's not the piece of land I'm gonna die on. So I'm obviously biased in my approach to this. But that being said, with that bias being worn on my sleeve, I think that this is the better way to go. I mean, land was never going to be the thing that drew in new players. I've even said that land almost killed this game last year, right? It killed so much momentum for what I thought was a very hot start to 2023 last year. But then we just got this bottleneck of land that never came, right? And again, there were a lot of other execution issues in 2023, but we're not going to cover that. Land was the biggest one. Came in 5 months later than they were projecting, and here we are with another 5-month delay on 1.6. So I'm okay with, I'm not saying to scrap land, but I'm okay with shelving it and leaving whatever's there now, if that means the team is going to focus on getting 100,000 players into this game, right? And I'm just throwing a number out there, but whatever their goal is, they've said in the past they want hundreds of thousands of players. So if Matt is going to focus all his energy on doing that and putting land to the side, so much so that he's banking on the 100,000 players coming in to fund the developers that would give us the land expansion, I'm cool with that. At this point, I'm cool with it. I think that's the way to go. I don't care as much about land. You guys know that already. I think land will be cool in the future, so I'm not discounting that by any means, but it's just clearly not the priority right now, as they've shown us and as I believe. So I'm very much aligned in that thinking and with that approach. So if they can get out the grain LP and titles in May, and I don't know, Soulbound unlocking maybe at some point, which is going to be irrelevant because I think we're going to get Soulbound unlocking in general, not just for land, right? So I think the 1.6 stuff will probably get sprinkled in throughout the rest of the year. If they're gonna put the rest on a shelf and focus on all they need to do to get, hundreds, tens of thousands of players, whatever the number is, into the game. And again, even just a couple hundred real committed players would change this game dramatically. But if they are effective in doing that, I think that will change the game dramatically. That will not make landowners happy, but if landowners are holding other assets in the game, namely cards, namely SPS, I think they will be able to come to terms with it quite well if those assets or tokens start going up in value, because a lot more people want them for the game side. And I've said this many times before. I know people are like, land's going to be its own game, whatever. But at the end of the day, the TCG, right, the auto battler is the heart of Splinterlands. And until something else comes in and replaces it, it will always be the heart of Splinterlands. Even land, the way that it's being designed, is only going to feed into the experience. So, if project 1A, which is land, needs to be shelved for project number 1, then which is the TCG, and making that appeal, or having mass appeal, I'm okay with it. Okay, enough going deep into that. Let's go ahead and wrap this up, because this town hall video or 5 biggest segues is already getting quite long. Okay, the last thing, I thought this was interesting. Somebody mentioned augmented cosmetics. Could the team do something like this in the future? And the example that they gave was like, what if you could put a skin on Jin O'Shaughnessy that actually changed his stats? Meaning that, you put the skin on him and maybe he gets 1 more, magic damage, but -1 health or -1 speed or something like that, right? So you have to like tweak it a little bit. I think it's a brilliant idea. And not only me, probably the more important thing for this video is Matt thought it was a really cool idea. So it's getting me thinking about the variability within games, right? Because it's like, maybe I have this skin that gives me +1 magic. Maybe I have a different skin that gives me, I don't know, whatever, on the same card, right? On Jin O'Shaughnessy. You have all these things that could come in as like upgrades or augmented cosmetics. I think that would be phenomenal. Now, I don't know how that would work. I don't know the technical, and Matt even said that's a really cool idea. That's obviously something that's not coming in soon, but he was really fascinated and enamored by it, as was I. So here's my prediction early on. Only because of Matt's response, and only because it is actually a really cool idea, I hope that we get something, maybe not this exactly, maybe it's not going to be cosmetics, but I hope that we could get something like this for the next core set. And I know that's over a year away, right? That's probably going to be summer of 2025, which is fine, because that actually gives the team a lot of time to sink their teeth into this, right? And see if it's something that's doable. And even if it's not doable with cosmetics, one of the things that I think would be really interesting, I always wanted to make a video about this, but I'll just, since I never did, I'll just talk about it here. But it's like, whether it's a promo card or maybe this new set or whatever it is, it would be cool to have it where you level it up in terms of like, basically it's like a build your own card, meaning that you have certain amount of points that you can allocate, and each of those points will buy you a stat buff or debuff or whatever the case is. So again, that might be a slightly different idea from the cosmetics. That might be much more difficult to do in essence, but just imagine the variability then, because it's like, not only are you going into a battle where, in the future, or even now, we have tactics, and in the future you'll have items and spells and all these different things, but you might have the same exact card, but you go into the same battle, and maybe it's just one of those 12 mana, right? 12 mana magic only, and so it's Jin O'Shaughnessy versus Jin O'Shaughnessy, but you threw that skin on there to get him that 4th damage or that 5th damage or whatever the case is, or you reduced, the speed, or I'm just saying, like, that would be cool. That would be interesting, and it would actually add quite a bit more variability into the game. Meaning that it's not just everybody having the same cards, which tends to happen, right? But now you could have all of the skins and augmentations, but which did you choose for this battle? Which one did you equip? Because you might have access to it, but now it's just like, okay, not just which cards did you choose, but if everybody comes to the same meta team, well, it's like, what upgrades did you choose on your cards as well? And maybe that's what they should be called, instead of cosmetics or augmentations, just upgrades. I don't know. But either way, I thought it was a really cool idea. It's not happening anytime soon, but in the same way that they were able to bring us tactics for Rebellion, which at the time, I don't think anybody expected, right? We were all thought phase 2 battles or 2-phase battles were going to be when land launched, but they, in my opinion, pleasantly surprised everyone by coming in and releasing that as one of the main, features of this set, where you're able to have more player agency within the battle itself. If they can do that in the future for, another core set, maybe a mini set, I don't know, that might be asking for too much, but I think it's a really cool idea. Okay, so let's get to the bonus items, then we'll wrap up. I talked about the bots being added to modern format. He said 300 bots added to modern format through various various third-party services. I thought they were only using Archmage, but I don't know. I guess they want to diversify their bots. Again, none of these are earning. These are just to provide liquidity. And Matt did say that they plan on adding more, but they want to see how these do first. And as I said earlier, I will be making my return to modern format, so all y'all better watch out with my non-max deck. And I don't know. It should be fun. I just want to test it out. I want to see how the gameplay is, and yeah, we'll see where things go. Okay, the other bonus items. The DAO, according to Matt, is hoping to launch on more chains, and I guess it's the DAO in tandem with the team, right? Because that Matt was saying that the DAO needs to start taking a little bit more responsibility. There's that DAO treasurer vote or trustee vote right now going on, or it's just nomination. I think it'll be a vote later, but one of the things that he mentions that they're hoping to launch on more chains, including Arbitrum and some other EVM chains. Now, Arbitrum's an ETH layer 2. I personally have not used Arbitrum yet, but I am very excited to. I don't want to say bullish because these are all just. I'm a Bitcoin maxi, right? So these are all just shitcoins to me. But I'm very excited to see what L2s can do because I have experience not with Arbitrum, but with another one, with Base, and the fact that Base is so closely tied in with major projects like Parallel. And obviously it's, Coinbase's network. If we do bridge to that and make it easily available and potentially line up partnerships or, again, even just discoverability, I think that would be awesome. So, whoever's in charge of that, kudos to thinking through, and hopefully we can get that smooth deployment. And then lastly, I thought this was an interesting topic. I'm not going to jump in too much, but somebody during the Q&A session asked, can we get something for losing, right? So if you lose a battle, can you still earn maybe a little glint? And the immediate part of me was like, no, we don't hand out participation trophies, right? And I still generally feel that way. If you lose, you shouldn't get anything. At the same time, the rewards here, as long as you don't get SPS, if it's just going to be glint, I think I could be sold on it, because if it's just glint, then even somebody coming in brand new, they're going to get beat up by a bunch of other, decks that are either passing them or playing at the higher levels. If they can at least get something, get some glint so that they don't get super discouraged and they're like, okay, I lost 20 out of my 24 battles today, but you know what? I got enough glint to open up 2 or 3 or whatever card draws, and boom, I just got a legendary Soulbound reward card that can change my fortunes. I think there could be value to that. That's a very specific situation, but I still think there could be value to that. So that's my thought on that. I'm going to leave this here. I think we covered everything that I wanted to cover. This video's already gone long enough, but thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. More Splinterlands content coming soon. We will get back to live streams at some point once I can figure out a more tenable schedule. But very, very excited for the future of Splinterlands. And I know it hasn't been easy, and it's probably not going to be easy over the next couple of months. But I'm still looking at this in terms of the long haul. And this is why the new frame of reference that I'm using is the next major set, which would come out in summer of 2025, which would hopefully be when we're in the middle of a raging bull run. But, a man can dream. That is all I have for you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day. I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.